dance for joy.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Reviews, the series where we look at practical and sensible cars that you can buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This is a 2022 MG3 1.5 Excite, but is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So, this channel has an extremely long history with the MG3. In fact, the second video on the channel entirely in 2018 was the 2040 MG3 style that we used to own until 2020. So I know these cars like the back of my hand. The only engine ever available in them was this 1.5 four-cylinder with 104 horsepower, with 0 to 60 in 10.5 seconds, and with this 5-speed manual gearbox. So if you want something else, this isn't the car for you, because the choice of powertrains was a little bit limited. So MG used to say that we could do 0 to 60 in 10.5 seconds. Let's see if that's true. So the engine needs to be worked really quite hard to make any decent progress. Now, if you are Mr. Quirk from the Planet Auto channel, then that doesn't bother you at all. But if you're me and you like to drive everywhere moderately, then yeah, it's not the best. It's not actually that bad at motorway speeds, and fifth gear is reasonably long in these cars. But as you can see, I have to work this car quite hard to make some progress. Now, if you hit variable valve timing at about 4,500 RPM or whatever it is in these cars, then it's fine. Rest of you know, it's okay. It's faster than, I don't know, the engines would have been typically in something like a C1 or Suzuki Celerio, whatever was around at the time, particularly of the free facelift cars, which was 2030 to 2080. But no 1-litre turbo, not even the one from the MG ZS that was around at the time that this car was made. So that's it. So the engine's a little bit sort of disappointing in some ways, although it is more powerful than a lot of other cars at this price point. The ride and handling, though, that's a lot better. I first drove one of these facelifted cars in 2019, and then later on that year actually had a privilege of getting one of these on press loan from MG Motor UK, a bright yellow one. And yeah, I did miles and miles and miles in it, and it was good, actually. The suspension's a little bit softer in these later cars than the earlier ones. The earlier ones, there is a bit of a firm edge to ride. And if you are a keen driver, and a lot of people who bought these cars when they were new were quite keen drivers, and that's absolutely brilliant. Steering is one of the last cars to not have electric power steering. And it's really good. People actually say at parking speed it feels heavy. But it's not. It depends what you drive. If you're just driving for like a Maestro from the 1980s with no power steering, well, it's fine. But if you are used to driving only cars with electric power steering, and these days, obviously a lot of people would be, but it does feel a bit heavier, but the road feel is excellent. When James Martin from the JM on Cars channel drove the MG3 back in 2019, the one we have, a 2014 model, he commented on the fact that the steering was really, really good. And he's absolutely right. And that continued all the way through until the end of this car's life in 2024. So, unfortunately, in this lay-by, which is the access road to the old cricket house in Dudley, people have been, well, not very mindful of the environment, shall we say. which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. Car looks nice. At the moment, Summit Garage are selling off 12 of these 2022 MG3 Excites. They bought a batch of them. They're all the same colour and same specification, and this one's done around 26,000 miles, I think. I think the styling of these facelifted MG3s is quite neat, considering the car came originally in 2013 and was discontinued last year. I think the design held up quite well over the course of a long period of time. The Excite model has parking sensors, so it's exclusive. We don't have a reversing camera, which is a shame, but a lot of people don't need stuff like that on a car that cost, I think it was around £12,000 new for one of these. Not a lot of money really. Open the boot, I think it's around 275 litres on these. I should know because I used to own one of these back in the day, but it was also in a very similar colour to this. Lift this up. We do not have a spare tyre. I think you can fit a spare wheel for something like a Rover 25 or something in these. I could be wrong. Just a little boot light in here, nothing particularly else interesting. I don't think you can get a 12-volt socket in here. But there we go, not really an awful lot to say. There's a little handle here to pull that down. I think the rear end of these looks nice. I think also the pre-facelift ones look nice too. There's a divide amongst MG3 owners, particularly when I used to own one of these. I sold it in 2020. It's a 2014 model, as whether the facelifted ones, which came in 2018, or the pre-facelift ones that came in 2013 looked better. I don't know if it made it sort of different really. Straight away you can tell this is an Excite model by the fact that at the sort of lower part of the bumper we don't have little chrome accents on this, but you have to be quite an expert to know that sort of thing, because things like the alloy wheels and everything else are identical on both specifications. So open up the rear. One of the things that you'll find with an MG3 is that the size of the car, it's very spacious. These are sort of, you know, Toyota Aygo and Citroen C1 money all the way through their production, and they're much larger cars than either of those. And so in some ways they do feel better. Oh, with a hailstorm, excellent. Brilliant. So, yeah, it's good. Headroom is very, very good in one of these. There are no map pockets in an Excite model. You have to go for exclusive to get those. I'll just shut this door. Okay, we're at the hailstorm, and that cricket didn't take my door off. One of the changes that occurred of the facelift in 2018 was that the door cards were completely changed. These slightly kind of cheap-feeling interior door handles were changed with items that feel a lot better. The only thing is, we lost both the fabric on the door cards and also the door pockets. You don't get any door pockets in the facelifted cars. You do get those two cup holder things down there. And the materials do feel good. If you had an exclusive model, you'd have sort of half faux leather seats and things like that in here, but we don't have those in this Excite one, but that's okay. Seems to have worn really well in here. The interior design is really not too bad, particularly because they introduced this big touchscreen with the facelift in 2018 on everything but the base Explorer model. The Explorer models are very, very rare. You hardly ever see any of those, and it's not a surprise really, because you didn't get remote locking, you didn't get colour keyed door handles, you didn't get a touchscreen, you really didn't get anything. You didn't even get alloy wheels in that. It's crazy. No remote locking. So yeah, they were quite rare. They're literally just because they were £9,500, just to get somebody into an MG dealer and be told that actually you could buy one of these for a little bit more, and it had actually things that you wanted. That's pretty much why the Explorers existed, and then we dropped them after a while because nobody was buying them. But yeah, you know, nice enough in here. Your headroom is very good. Are these grab handles damped? Actually are. They're actually damped quite nicely as well. Yeah, no interior light in the back, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, never mind. Right, let's get in the front. Wow, I got child locked in. I had to go open the other door. Never mind, I've set that for the new owner so they don't have the same experience as me. So, not really a bad interior for a car that in 2018, when these came out, started at £9,500. You can't buy anything for £9,500 now at all. The basic Sandero, I think, is about 14,000 or something now. It's crazy. Anyway, it's not bad in here. There's no soft touch materials or anything, and the door cards don't have any fabric on them, but never mind. It's not the end of the world. Put the key in. One thing that belies the age of the car is the dash. They didn't change the dash at all, the facelift, and so by the time of the discontinuation of this generation of MG3 in 2024, it did look quite old-fashioned. There's no way to sort of beat about a bush about that. So we just turn this on. You can see this tiny little display down here, little dial sweep and everything. You just get temperature light rather than a gauge, but you get used to that. I think 23,000 miles this car, so not 26. You just go through here and see trip computer. I think we've got tyre pressure monitoring in this car, fuel range, plenty of that. Average MPG, 7 MPG, great, it's been shuffled around, isn't it? Average speed, then that's a service interval. Tyre pressure monitoring, it might not be on this car actually. The exclusives definitely had that. We don't have cruise control either on here. You can see there's a big blank space where that would be. Leather steering wheel there in this car, leather gear lever, and then we can turn this on. I think we press the button and it will turn on. Oh, there's the tyre pressure monitoring. We've put it actually in there rather than anything else. Because we haven't actually got sat nav in this car, there's not really an awful lot to see. There's no Android Auto, there's Apple CarPlay. I think this is a 7-inch screen. It could be an 8. I've forgotten now. It's been so long since I filmed one of these. Setup. There's not really a lot in here. I mean, it's things like, you know, the key beeps and display functions and things like that. There's not an awful lot going on. There is a configurable button here that you can set to Apple CarPlay, or you can have that sort of home backlight mode. It's nothing really interesting in here particularly. And then there's sort of phone and things like that. Really, there's not much else to see. We've covered most of the functions of the car, but if you're buying one of these, it doesn't really matter, does it? 5-speed manual was the only option for transmission in this country. In some other countries, you get an automatic, but MG Motor UK never sold this car for anything other than this particular engine and this gearbox, as all there ever was for 11 years that the car was sold. USB and 12-volt socket down there. Nice normal handbrake, not the nicest grip in the world, but there we go. Hazard light switch there. That is for the stop-start system. You want to turn it off. Right, viewers, I'm feeling optimistic today. Should I be? The glove box on a pre-face of MG3 is actually really, really big. What about this later one? Right, let's take that pack out. No. It's actually worse. It's considerably worse than the pre-facelift model, which had a huge glove box. I don't know why on these later ones that the glove box is so small. There we go. Door bins are very big. Again, we've got familiar MG bits. These vents are very much like the pre-facelift ZS that came out in 2017. So is this door locking switch. Interior door handles are similar as well. These window switches are similar, if not exactly the same. Mirror switch, I think, is still used on some MG models today, actually. No automatic wipers on this car. The automatic lights, no wipers. I don't know why on the pre-facelift cars with this, things like the 3 Star we had, that had automatic wipers, but they deleted them in the facelift car for some reason. But when I can operate the wipers, I'm not that silly. Well, most of the time anyway. Just one little dinky interior light and some very, very tiny sunvisors. They're very small on these cars. No lights or anything like that, just normal. And then I've forgotten we have a little bit here which shows which seatbelts are buckled, which is handy. Yeah, not much else to say really about the interior of this car. Let's open up the bonnet and have a look at the engine. What you'll see here is you've actually got an embossed MG logo on the bonnet mat, which is nice. So this was the only ever powertrain option available for 11 years of production of the MG3 in this country anyway. It's a 1.5 variable valve timing engine known as the VTI in the earlier cars, and then apparently this is just called the DVB-T, generates about 104 horsepower. It's a 4-cylinder engine. It's distantly related to some of the engines that were in some General Motors cars in the mid-2000s, although I think MG sort of changed bits on it themselves. Oh, we better reconnect that. That's probably not too good, it being loose. I'll have to tell them that needs reconnecting. On the earlier cars, it's really hard to see the coolant level. So with the facelift ones, they actually changed that. The engine looks quite different. We've got a different oil filler cap for a start. In 2016, the cars received a stop-start system, and there is a way to tell the very early cars that were assembled in Longbridge from knockdown kits from China, and these later cars that were built entirely in China, is to see the chrome strip in front of the grille. Now the grille looks very different on these facelift cars. On the pre-facelift ones, the ones built at Longbridge don't have a chrome strip on the grille. The ones that were built at Longbridge, a little chrome strip on the grille also indicates that it had stop-start. This came in January 2016. So yeah, from 2018 you got a 7-year warranty, 80,000 miles, so the vast majority of these will be under warranty, but they haven't done sort of intergalactic mileage, and sort of it really. We'll talk about sort of the common issues with these cars a little bit later on, because there are a few actually. I know if I owned one. Right, let's get back on the road, shall we? So the trims available on an MG3 were 3-time, which is a very, very rare model. You hardly ever see any of those because it was such a low specification. You didn't even get remote locking or alloy wheels or anything really. They were £8,500 when they were new in 2013. Then a lot more common was the free form or the form sport. The form sport was a very popular trim level actually, and the very late ones of those got things like cruise control. The 3-stars were even more common, and that's the one we had, a 3-star. Ours was a 14. You get up until 2018. You could also get the trims called the Star Lux or Star Plus, and those had leather seats, and it depends on what years as to what they were. And sometimes they had optional things like a little sort of aftermarket screen in the middle of the dash with a colour display and touch capability. There's also a 90th limited edition model in 2014 that was based, I think, on the Form Sport. But the facelift that came in 2018, the trims were realigned to Explore, Excite like this one, and then Exclusive now at the top of the range. Now, the most anyone ever really paid for one of these cars, I think even when it was new, was £14,500. The Explorer was about £9,500. So these were not expensive cars, and they're not expensive on the used market either. One of these, which is a 2022 Excite model with 23,000 miles on the clock, is about £9,000 at a dealer. What are the issues with these? Well, surprisingly, for a car like this, rust can be an issue on some of the very early ones. White cars for some reason. Then there's the lower suspension arm, which is a big problem on these. So obviously, some of these have done over 100,000 miles now, given they came out 2013. They're starting to show sort of issues like that. Also, the clutches are not particularly good on the early cars. The fuel pump failed on ours in 2018. I think it was about 40,000 miles the fuel pump went, which is not very good. Radiators can be an issue on these as well. They're not actually bad. I mean, some of the very early ones of these are actually now in no budget reviews territory, which is amazing considering they discontinued in 2024, and the very earliest ones can be no budget reviews cars. But I wouldn't recommend you pay out little for an MG3. I'd recommend you pay a bit more. Start at about 5,000 and you get yourself a facelifted car, but actually they tend to be a little bit better made. And they tend to be just a bit nicer, really. I've actually really enjoyed my time with this. I'm pleased that I decided to have a go in this. I mean, I drove another one of these in 2021 for a week, driven other pre-facelift ones, but I also always have an affinity for these. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very soon for some more reasonably priced motoring.